Hi students, very good evening. Let us continue the lecture on Paradise Lost. Let me share the screen first. It's here. I hope the screen is visible to you. I'm going to continue from where we have stopped the day before. I hope you have gone through that lecture. So this is the fifth fifth speech of Saturn. That is what we are going to see now. So previously we have seen how Saturn was feeling sad. So though is Saturn, Milton brings in the human quality of having tears and pain, looking at the devastated situation and looking at all the fallen angels in their the pathetic and miserable condition, and so much varied from their shapes and from their appearance in the heaven. So it is a very contradicting picture or contrasting picture that we'll find of the fallen angels. Angels and fallen angels is a very contrasting picture. I was referring always to the very bright picture in the heaven and the dark, which is only visible light. Okay, invisible no visible light or visible darkness, that is what is prevailing in the hell, and all the fallen angels are changed in their shape and appearance. So looking at his army, which was changed drastically, Saturn felt very sad, and then he controlled his emotion and he started talking. So now he is addressing, oh, my raids of immortal spirits. See, he says, my raids is innumerable. So he says he is addressing immortal spirits. As I have already told you that though fallen from heaven, they are immortal. So this immortality of fallen angels is not changed to mortality. And of course, we can't ask why, yet the mythology, the Christian mythology goes on like this. So as God is immortal, Saturn is also immortal, and they are innumerable, and he is addressing, O my raid of immortal spirits, O powers matchless, but with the Almighty. See how Saturn is boasting about his army, his strength. He is stating that they are matchless powers. If at all we want to compare them or match them, we, of course, they can be compared or matched with only the Almighties. That means gods. So a comparison of Saturn's army can be done only with God's army. And that strife was not inglorious. So he says that whatever war that we have waged, so in the heaven, it is not an inglorious thing or war, though the event was dire. So though it is not, for Saturn, it is not inglorious. He considers that as a glorious war only, though for God it is inglorious. And he says that it was not at all inglorious, though it was a direful event. A very just give me a few minutes. My laptop is going down. Okay. So he says this Almighty, the army of Saturn is so great that we can compare them only to God's army. God's army, though he says the war is not inglorious, though the total event was very direful or dreadful, as this place testifies. So what is the witness of the dire event? The place. What is this place? That is the hell in which right now they are landed. And this dire change. So what is the change? as I told you, the change of place as well as the change of their appearance and the change of their color or brightness to dark, heaven to hell, and all prince like or mm, what do you say, good forms have changed to a direful or a dreadful forms, hateful to utter. So Saturn is saying that it is even hateful to utter our situation. In what kind of situation we are now? He says, I hate even to utter. But what power of mind he is contemplating, foreseeing or presaging from the depth of knowledge past or present, could have feared how such united force of gods, how such as stood like this, could ever know repulse. So he is thinking, what kind of great army we are. So let it be my knowledge of past or present that I can, what do you say, imagine with the power of my mind. I never feared that we will be losing the battle. And he says he has so much of confidence in his army, how such united force of gods. You see, when they were in heaven they are like gods only, and they are all united against the Almighty. So he says that this is the united force of God, but I have actually visualized the strength. And as we have stood like this, so as we have come together, and I could not think that we were defeated. For who cannot believe, though after loss, that all these puissant legions, whose exile hath emptied heaven, shall fail to reascend, self-raised, and repossess their native seat. So he says, why can't we believe that these powerful legions, armies, because of our exile, because of our coming out, not coming out, but they were thrown out by God. So he says that because God has threw us out, now the heaven became empty. See, it is stated everywhere that the Saturn's army is innumerable, so many in number. So it is, of course, we can believe that now heaven is emptied to some extent. So he says, such a powerful army that we have, and I never thought that we'll be losing the battle. What if we think of repossessing it, their native seat? So native seat is heaven. For Saturn and his followers, the native seat is heaven. And he is saying that what is wrong if we believe that we are going to repossess our seat, native seat, that is our native land. Of course, it is like they were forced to exile from their native land, and now they have landed in a foreign land, which is nothing but hell. So he is saying that no, with having this much of strength, having God-like figures in our army, and a powerful legions army which is innumerable, which is having so much of strength, which is not less than, not compared to any other army, but for only to the army of God. That means it indicates their strength. So having this much strength, Saturn, of course, is very, believing very strongly. He says that we can always think of repossessing the heaven. So it is, as I told you, that Saturn is a good orator. So it is like a political speaker who speaks very well with oration, so to impress his followers. This is what in Saturn we could find. Saturn has great qualities of a leader. And now he says that what is wrong if we keep faith in our strength. See, actually, this is what our personality development lectures, etc., will say. First of all, we should keep faith in our strength. And Saturn is the best example. See, after even after the direful situation that they have faced, and even after the miserable plight in which they were lying in hell, okay, and the shock that they have received from God without estimating the strength of God, with all the defeat, even after the miserable defeat, a terrible defeat, we could see that Saturn is not losing his heart. He's not getting disheartened. Yet, he is trying to instill the spirit of what you say, strength and positive thinking in his followers. And he says that we are so great an army that we can, of course, think of repossessing the heaven, that is native seat, because now it is lost for them. So he says he is having a confidence in his army. Okay, for me, be witness all the host of heaven, if counsels different, or danger shunned, by me have lost our hopes. So now I am witnessing the host of heaven who had confidence in me, but of course, we lost that confidence, we lost that hope. But he who reigns monarch in heaven, till then, as one secure sat on his throne, it is a reference to God sitting on his throne. He is like a monarch in the heaven. See, God is being compared to a monarch in heaven. So he was securely reigning the heaven until what time? Till Saturn and his followers could oppose him and could fight with him, upheld by old repute, consent, or custom, and his regal state, put forth at full, but still his strength concealed, which tempted our attempt and wrought our fall. He says that, of course, Saturn is, God is ruling, God is ruling heaven by custom or consent. See, king can continue to be the king only if he is having the consent of people, or if it is the tradition, like as you have, what do you say, it is the hires of the throne, family, if they are coming from, it is like a hereditary, or they are coming from a king's family, royal family, etc. By custom they will become kings. So here Saturn is saying that God also is like the king of heaven only by custom or consent, and with his powerful state, of course, he actually could not reveal what his real strength was. So Saturn is saying that we lost the battle not because we are weak. See, this is the kind of optimism or positive thinking in Saturn. He says, of course, the battle is lost, the war is lost, but why? It is not because we are weak, but God, of course, is very cunning. He says that he concealed his strength. He is hidden his strength. And thereby we estimated him wrongly. And thus we have invited this fall into the hell. So wrought our fall. So estimating the strength of God wrongly, we have got the hell now. Henceforth, his might we know. So Saturn is saying, but now what are we going to do hereafter? He says, now we have realized the real power of God, and then know our own. We know what our strength is. So, as not either to provoke or dread new war provoked, our better part remains to work in close design by fraud or guile. So he says, maybe what is our aim now? It is not either to provoke or dread new war provoke, not even to be afraid that God may again declare a war against us. Let us not be afraid of that. Or let us not even invite a war openly. But he is saying that let us work in close design. So, like a conspiracy, okay, by fraud or guile. So, Saturn says, now we are not going to deal with God directly. In heaven, it happened. But God, what he did, he concealed his strength. So that was like a cheating only. So here he says that let us not invite any war on ourselves, and let us not be afraid that God will be, coming for a war against us. But let us design some plans how to confront God by fraud or guile. So use cunningness. Okay. What force affected not, that he no less at length from us may find, who overcomes by force hath overcome, but half his foe. So now whatever God, of course, got victory, but his victory is half only. So he says that he will never find from us anything that is directly confronting, that is testing our powers. So of course he has overcome us only half, because he actually won over us with force. Now we are not going to do that. Space may produce new worlds. So now he says that now we are not going into directly touch God or heaven. But what are we going to do? He's saying, now I know that the space is going to produce new worlds. This is a reference to the creation of earth by God. Okay, as I have already told you in the very beginning, this Christian mythology or theology says that it is heaven which was existing in the beginning, because even in the it is stated, if you read the chapter Genesis, you will understand that. So there, of course, after living there for some time, Saturn became jealous of God ruling heaven, and why God is being praised by everyone, though he is also very powerful. And Saturn is none other than Lucifer. Once upon a time in heaven, he was like the right hand to God in the heaven. So, looking at God, though he is also equal to God, no one praises him, and he is not given honor as God is given. So these conditions have promulgated him or influenced him, motivated him to nurture a kind of jealous. Okay. And then he, out of jealousy, felt that what is the greatness of God? He cannot obey God, the monarch. Okay. It is like a kingdom only. So in a kingdom, naturally in the physical world, our world also, why wars come? So if a kingdom is there, if a king is there, if someone feels that I am stronger than king, why can't I possess the kingdom? So similarly, Saturn also felt the same thing. So the story is known to you, how he was thrown out of heaven and how he has fallen in the pit of hell, where of course with all his fallen angels. And but when he was in heaven, because he was the right hand of God, he know plans of God. So because Lucifer is the right hand to God, God might have shared his plans, his future plans. So one of his plan was to create the earth. That is what he is saying now. Space may produce new worlds. Whereof so rife there went a fame in heaven, that he erelong intended to create. Erelong here means before a long time. Intended to create, and therein planned a generation whom his choice regard. So should favor equal to the sons of heaven. So he God, of course, is planning from a long time. So, he is intending to, he is desired to create a generation. This is a reference to the human race in first man and women, that is Adam and Eve, a generation whom his choice regard. So it is his choice, God's choice. He wanted to create them and favor them like the sons of heaven. As I have already told you, how Adam and Eve were there in the Garden of Eden. They were like angels only. They were like sons or daughters of God, and they don't know that they were naked, and they don't know the feeling of shy, etc. Until Lucifer, in the form of serpent, went and tempted them. So God gave a beautiful garden, okay, and then asked them to be in the garden and to enjoy the bliss of being there. And only one condition, which is like the commandment. The condition is not to eat the fruit of knowledge. From the tree of knowledge, you should not eat fruit. And if on the day you eat that fruit, you will die, certainly. That means Adam and Eve are also immortals when they were created. So this is what Saturn is referring here. So being with God, very close in heaven, I know what God's plans were. So that is why Saturn is saying that I know what God's plans were. Thither, if but to pry. So here he says, what shall we do? We shall go to that place. Shall be perhaps our first eruption thither or elsewhere. If not, if God won't create earth or somewhere else, first we will go there. For this infernal pit, that is hell, this infernal pit means hell, shall never hold celestial spirits in bondage. So he says, see how Saturn, even after thrown out of the heaven, is considering himself as a celestial body. Celestial is heavenly, divine, etc. So he says that this hell cannot hold us because we are celestial spirits in bondage, nor the abyss long under darkness cover. So this abyss in which we are now, it cannot cover us in darkness for a long time. But these thoughts, full counsel, must mature. So these are my initial thoughts. This is my initial plan. God, Saturn is talking with all his fallen angels. So you listen to me. So listen, it is only my initial thought. We have to discuss it further. Counsel, okay? He says we have all together discuss and finalize. So the thought is only immature thought. Now it should be matured enough. We should think of it. Peace is despaired. Of course, we can't have peace here. For who can think submission? Of course, we can get back peace when? If we go back and submit to the God. Okay, submit means yielding. It is like lungi powder. So after the defeat in the war, of course, these fallen angels, if they want peace, which they had previously, what they should do? They should go and submit to God. They should bow down in front of God. And that is what Beelzebub also says, that we can't go and be his thralls, slaves. So peace is despaired. So because we don't have any thought of going and submitting to the power of God. So what is the next alternative thing? What is the next choice for us? We have two choices. If we want peace, we should go and fall on the feet of God. If not, the second choice is war. So he says the second choice is only war. Then war, open or understood. See, as he said that this time we are not going to fight with God openly. It is internal war. It is understood, must be resolved. So otherwise, one more choice is the whether shall we go and wage war openly, or with fraud and guile behind God. So submission, direct war or indirect war must be resolved. He says that these the decision should be resolved in the council. That is like his ministers or followers, all fallen angels. There ends the fifth speech of Saturn. He spake. He is, of course, Saturn. And to confirm his words, out flew millions of flaming swords. So, as we have said that already, there's innumerable spirit. Now he says millions. Milton says millions. He says they have drawn their swords, okay, and from the thighs of mighty cherubim. So mighty cherubim, as I told you, are angels only. Cherubim, seraphim is the order of hierarchy of angels, and mighty cherubim, all of them have drawn their swords, and the sudden blaze. See, sword will be shining very much. Okay, so because it is darkness in the heaven, they are even more shining. Far round illumined hell. So the dark hell is illumined, means lightened. So there came a flash of lights because of the swords. Highly they raised against the highest. Now they, of course, are not going to submit to God, but even more they are in the rage of going against the highest, that means God, and fierce with grasped arms. So they are very forcefully grasping their arms strongly, clashed on their sounding shields. A shield is round, and the sword they are just striking like this, so that the din of war hurling defiance toward the vault of heaven. So the sound of hitting the shield with the sounds like cling, 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 like that, it is reaching to the vault of heaven. So it is, they are prepared to wage war with God. They want this sound to reach heaven, so that God will also understand that these fallen angels are not going to bow down in front of him, but they are ready to wage another war, though they had a miserable defeat. Now, after this, actually, there is a description of a hill. So, and where there is gold, and now all fallen angels under the leadership of Mammon, who is also a fallen angel. This Mammon, even in heaven, it is described that he used to walk with downcast looks like this, always looking on the ground. Why? Because the heaven's pavements are laid with gold, and he, of course, likes gold. Okay, so how they go to the hill, dig the gold out, and then make huge pillars, and they try to construct a meeting hall for them. So we will discuss this in the next class. But before I close this lecture, let me share one more a slide, a few slides, few visuals that I have collected, of course, from you, this Google only. I just want to give you an idea how visually you can find, see hell. This is the image of hell. See, always I was telling you that this is a fiery gulf full of fire, okay, and of course burning coals like that. If you large amount of coals, if you imagine, of course you will get a picture. Of course, with the visual imagination only, Milton wrote this. And I told you, no, by the time he was writing Paradise Lost, he was totally blind. And the source, of course, to write Paradise Lost is Bible, the first source. And of course, it is combined with Milton's imagination. This is the power of imagination. He could present to us the hell, the picture of hell very vividly, which of course we also can visualize with, if you can follow all the words and lines where he describes the picture of hell, of course we can visualize it also. That is why poetry is always having imagery, visions, etc., images. This is the image of hell, which of course Saturn is thrown into the, that is what Milton describes. And next I have one more slide. See, these are the fallen angels in the hell. Houses, see, you can see they have built the this structure, and there it is all full of fire. The light, it is invisible, visible darkness, and then smokes. See how smoky it is, and all the fallen angels. Of course, fallen angels are also having wings. Don't forget that. Only thing is, angels are bright and white, whereas fallen angels are dark in color. They are, that is why the binary, actually the binary means two opposite words, like light and dark. The heaven is the symbol of light, or light is the symbol of heaven. Darkness is the symbol of hell. And angels are light, and fallen angels are dark, or good or bad also. Light is always associated with good, and darkness is always associated with bad. So this is the picture of fallen angels and Saturn standing in the middle, and how the innumerable fallen angels are listening. See, they have swords or spears, okay, and some are having even shields. You can notice that. And as I told you that these fallen angels will be building a big structure, like a meeting hall, okay, a meeting hall for the fallen angels, where they can meet and counsel their next course of action. So that actually, that huge building, that huge structure is compared with the huge structure you could see in this slide. This is actually is an image of the Babylonian structure. Babylonian is an old civilization. It's a very great civilization also. So you can see how huge this structure is. And Milton says that when we want to compare the structure that is built by fallen angels, this is nowhere. This is not even a comparison. So I have put this image so that you can imagine how big or vast a structure the fallen angels have built. Okay, it's only, now we can think that it is not even like one pillar of the structure that fallen angels have built. So this huge structure of Babylonian civilization, you can read in Google also about Babylonian civilization. You can understand how great the civilization was, how great structures they have built. So in these all worldly structures, which we think are very great, very big, etc., are of nothing in front of the structure that is built by Saturn and his followers. And of course, I could not get a colored one for this picture. This is the structure that is Pandemonium. So Saturn's meeting hall is named as Pandemonium by Milton. And you could see how surrounding in the picture, it's like a huge building, and there is a huge tomb like thing, okay. There Saturn is sitting. It's like a throne, a huge throne, and he is addressing. All surrounding, if you actually expand the picture and see, you can find innumerable angels, fallen angels just listening to Saturn very attentively. So these are the pictures that I have collected just to share with you, and so that you will get an idea of the description of the hell and the image of Saturn and etc. So it is only to aid your understanding of the text that I've been teaching you all these days. I hope you will go through. You will go through these lectures, and one more or maybe two more lectures or one more lectures. I'll finish the text and I'll come to the analysis part. Then I think we'll have a virtual class, that is online class, where after listening to all these lectures of the literary explanation of the text, we can have an interaction regarding the themes and the possible questions and other things. And of course, notes I'll be supplying. Even you can also try to get some from some apps which are available in Google. If you can't make out which is good, which is bad, etc., don't try to waste your time. I'll be giving you the whole notes. So don't worry, keep listening. Okay, have a nice time, and I hope you are all doing well. All your family members also. Take care. Bye.